Okay, I take some time each week to ramble about some interpretations that I have personally done in the field of religion, Islamic religion I'm talking about. So, one of the major interpretations that I have been promulgating and propagating for the past year or so is the supposed second coming of Christ and the emergence of the Antichrist. Now, I know these prophecies are shared among almost all the Abrahamic religions, all three of them, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, although they have their differences that at places are quite minor, and at other, yes, they are major differences. But nevertheless, I have presented my arguments for the Islamic version of these prophecies, uh, but have also tried to explain to my Christian and Jewish brothers, especially Christian brothers, because in Judaism these prophecies are just bare minimum and they have all been fulfilled in the first coming of Jesus Christ, peace be upon him. But the Christians are still waiting for the second coming of the Christ, much like Muslims are. So I have, you can go and watch my relevant videos on this channel, especially the ones that I'm going to link here. There's a basic foundational video where I make my claim, and then there are other videos in which I answer queries presented by other people, or have a debate with my colleagues on the topic. So people in need of additional clarity on my claim can go and watch those videos as well. But I want to take this time to once again reiterate what those interpretations turned out to be. And that was that, firstly, in Islam, the details about the Antichrist and the coming of Christ, the true Messiah, are plentiful. It is fundamentally unlike Christianity, which only survive on 2 or 3 mentions of the Antichrist in the Holy Bible, and those two come primarily from the epistles of John or Second Thessalonians, but none by Jesus himself. And the second coming of the Christ is usually interpreted from from the same letters also, especially Second Thessalonians and other Paul's letters, but also from the book of Revelation, and primarily I would say from the book of Revelation, where somehow in the ending chapters, where our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is mentioned in the shape of the rider on the white horse, the one who is having a sword coming out of his mouth, is traveling on a horse, and his dress is all red because of all the wars he'll be fighting. They think that this pertains to the second coming of the Christ in the millennial kingdom. So, yes, I have yet to make videos that directly target these claims from the Christian Bible, but I've hinted towards them in the videos that I've made about the Islamic version of these prophecies. People in search of truth can maybe find some arguments that might appeal to them in those videos as well. But yes, I will be, inshallah, making videos that directly target the claims contained in the Christian Bible that are then supplemented with the help of Islamic prophecies, especially the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in which he graphically details this coming of Christ and the Antichrist with so many indicators that it was particularly easy for me to find out what it actually applied to. If people have gone through my video, they know I have argued that all these prophecies about the Antichrist and Christ were actually symbolic and have taken place. They were symbolic in the sense that the Antichrist represented communism and the communist state, the Soviet Union. In our prophecies, in Islamic prophecies, this is hardly debatable, because as I said, that the indicators are so massively numerous, and they cover the topic from so many angles, that even the timeline is mentioned year by year, what is going to happen and when it's going to happen. So if you have gone through my video or not gone through my video, let me just give you the rundown, that the prophecies, if you line them up in a sequential manner, a chronological manner, the first thing to happen would be the Great War. And the Great War, we all know, Al-Malhamatul Uzma, as it's mentioned in Islamic prophecies. The Great War was World War I. And then there's traditions that state how it is going to progress, that 4 or 5 things are going to take place almost simultaneously, or one after the other immediately following the previous one. The Great War would take place. The Jerusalem would get would start booming again, would be populated again, as the terms come in the traditions, but it generally means the Umran Bayt al-Maqdis, that the flourishing of Jerusalem would come around, and the Kharabu Medina, the Muslim states represented here by Medina, the city of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in Saudi Arabia, would go into decline. And then there would be a defense of, or what you can say, sort of a conquering of Constantinople, which is Istanbul, which refers to what happened after, towards the end and after the First World War, how Mustafa Kemal Pasha defended his homeland, all of Turkey, from the invasion of the Greeks and all the other allied partners in the First World War. And then in the 7th year, this is the kind of specificity that is found in Islamic narrations, the prophetic narrations, that in the 7th year the Antichrist would come forward. And the 7th year turns out to be 1922, when the Soviet Union comes forward. Then once again, if you follow other traditions, they exactly spell out for how much time Antichrist is going to stay in this world. So there's a famous tradition that states that the Antichrist would stay in this world for 40 years. Sorry, for 40 days. And then it goes on to say that these days are not days, but years. Then it goes on to say that one of those days would be equal to a week, and one of those days would be equal to a month, and rest of the days would be normal days, normal years. So we can count exactly 1917 to 1924. It was the time of, you guessed it right, Lenin, who basically brought communism out of the books and reified it into a practical system of governance in Soviet Union, in Russia. And then towards the end of his, before the end of his tenure, the 7-year tenure, in 1922, Soviet Union was formed, and this is the iconic time frame which is mentioned in the Hadith as the release of the Soviet Union, that it would just go out. So 1922 falls within the time of the Lenin, those 7 years. Thereafter, one day would be equal to a month. So this comes out to be 29 or 30 years. And this was immediately followed by Stalin. He started in 1924 and died in 1953. And all these 29 years, he managed and implemented certainly a different kind of communism, one that was maybe substantially, maybe partially different from the one that Lenin had established. And then thereafter, 38 years more the Antichrist was bound to stay in this world, and you can count from 1953 till 1991 when the Soviet Union was disbanded. It was just pulverized, it stayed separated, and it once again turned into Russia. So this is the exact time frame that was given in our narrations. And then the coming of the Christ was represented by primarily the United States of America, but may include other Western Christian powers like maybe Britain, France, etc. But mainly those prophecies contained symbolism that when applied to America, sort of fulfills itself. So it was the world order created by with the help of United States and other Western powers that was based on justice and equality and free trade. And this started off with Woodrow Wilson's 14 points, and later on by actions taken by FDR and the Truman Doctrine that tried and not only create an equitable system in this world, equating all nations and providing a base for economic freedom and affluence to come in this world, simultaneously countering communism, which was mentioned in those prophecies, whether Islamic or Christian. The communist state of Soviet Union was the lawless one mentioned in the Second Thessalonians, or the man of perdition, and many other labels that were given to him. That was basically communism and the state of Soviet Union. The communism personified by the state of Soviet Union. There are so many other narrations that actually lay out how Christ is going to come. He is going to make landfall, while Muslims will be in a war with the Antichrist. And this happened in the Afghan war. When Jesus would come, Muslims would ask him to lead, but he would say, no, your leaders will be from among yourselves. But he would then take his spear and go after the Antichrist, and will find ultimately the Antichrist, kill him, and show his blood on his spear. And this is exactly what happened in the Afghan war. America landed. It helped the Muslims defeat the Antichrist, and then because of the American support, the Soviet Union disintegrated into multiple states and stopped its expansion of and implementation of communism throughout the world, which started from the Warsaw Pact and other such movements that were common in those days, and even in those remaining 38 years after Stalin. So because of these many triangulated narrations that help us to figure out what the Antichrist and Christ actually referred to, I have a strong feeling and hope that once it's presented, especially to the Western Muslim scholars, those scholars that have gone to the West, have studied in good universities, they are not exactly beholden to the sectarian tendencies that are very common in our part of the world, the eastern part of the Muslim world. So I hope that once this interpretation makes enough rounds and reaches those scholars, I am hoping that they will lend a listening ear to it, will ponder over it. Maybe I'm available, maybe discuss it with me. I can show you, and I have been showing this in my various podcasts, how each and every hadith fulfills this interpretation. It authenticates all those narrations as well, and how those narrations came to be in the real world. It's all very satisfying to me, at least, because those things have happened. And all the remaining narrations have been discussed by me in those podcasts. You can go and have a listen. But what I want to do once again is invite the Christian scholars as well to please focus on my interpretations, because these interpretations do not elevate the Muslims to the level of world leaders, but rather our own narrations elevated Christianity to the rulership of the world in the form of second coming of the Christ. So you should be the first ones to ponder over it, ponder over these narrations, the Islamic prophecies, and see how they fit in with the narrations that you have from your Christian sources, and how both of these come together to to produce the results that I am just pointing out right now. What will happen is that then many of the movements going on right now in this world, especially in the American world, the evangelical and Protestant world, that think somehow after October 7th and Israeli war with Gaza and Palestinians is somehow leading towards the fulfillment of these prophecies. No, once you will be convinced on how I have laid out these prophecies and shown them to be fulfilled in this world, maybe, just maybe, and I'm hopeful it will, inshallah. It will force you to take your foot off the pedal and off the accelerator, which is causing much harm in the Muslim world and the global world order that was so dear to us, to all the countries of the world, that we are seeing being destroyed in front of our eyes just because zealots from all these religions, Judaism, Christianity, and even Islam. There are many groups like ISIS and other terrorist groups who are trying to bring about the second coming of the Christ, in their terms, preparing the ground for the coming of the Christ. So all of this madness will come to an end if you realize that all of this has taken place. There's no more time or reason to believe that Jesus is going to come again and somehow ennoble the movement and the activism of those that try to bring it about. That time is now over. It was fulfilled in the USA after the Second World War, culminating in the Afghan War and the destruction of Soviet Union. Thereafter, after a period of about 7 years or so mentioned in the Hadith, that started from 91, maybe till 98, or maybe till 2000, because these are generic terms in which Hadith talks about. Thereafter, it is clearly mentioned that the affairs of the world will go south from there. They wouldn't improve. They would go from bad to worse with each passing day, and culminating very soon in the establishment of the Judgment Day. So there's a famous narration in Islam that spells out 10 signs of the signs before the Day of Judgment, and I have made a video on those also. It's still in Urdu, I think, but maybe someday I'll make it in English as well. Almost 8.5 or 9 out of those have also been fulfilled. One odd is remaining, and that is just remaining because it's the last one, and it's hardly an indication. It would be the actual establishment of the Day of Judgment. So let's not go about this era trying to recreate something that has already happened and damaging much of the world order in its wake. Let's just focus on these interpretations. Argue with me. I'm open for argumentation. Please join my Patreon. Have one-to-one conversations with me over there. Or you can just comment on these videos and tell me how and why you don't think my interpretation is correct. I will show you. I will support my claim with evidence from the Hadith, from the Christian Bible, and from other legends that have existed so far. And I'll show you that this is how it was all fulfilled, and it was fulfilled in the USA. Now, I'm a Muslim. I should be angry and perturbed that why wasn't this prophecy fulfilled among the Muslims. But I'm not, because that's how God operates. He chooses the people who were most honest and good-natured and moral in their time, and then chooses them to accomplish great feats. This happened in the USA doing all of this, but with the help of Muslims, yes, of course. The Afghani Muslims, and they weren't just Afghani Muslims, all the Muslims from around the world, the Mujahideen, came together to defeat that communist state. But yes, they were helped by USA, and we have no qualms accepting this, that it was USA that held the spear, the metaphorical spear that was mentioned in the hadith. So, gloat in your success. We don't mind it one bit. You have earned it. But thereafter, decline came, and it is still coming, and you have started on a wrong path, which would be the focus of other videos of mine in the future. But for now, I just want to motivate people to once again think and ponder over this fact. This might bring great good to this world and avoid all the bloodshed that is going on in the name of God and Christ and Messiah, all for no reason, all for prophecies that have long been fulfilled. So that's all for today. Inshallah, we'll meet again. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon all of you.